morning, Block 2. You are finishing your 3.9 and 3.10 dividing fractions notes. We did a lot of this yesterday. We're going to finish up today. So a quick review of what we did, and then when we get to the very bottom of the notes, you are going to add the last note and finish your cheat sheet idea, and I'll explain when we get there. First of all, vocab, inverse operation would be an opposite operation. The opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. Would be two really good examples. Reciprocal, again, an opposite, taking a fraction and flipping it upside down, like 2/3 becomes 3/2, 5/9 becomes 9/5. Inverse and reciprocal basically both mean the opposite. Super important that we remember this when dividing fractions, flip the second and multiply. It is so important that on our cheat sheet idea, we copied it. And you know I don't like copying a note into the cheat sheet idea, but in this situation, it was my idea to do so because it's so important. It's also extremely important, or so much more important than many other things, that we put it on our cheat poll. An example of this in action, this saying when dividing fractions, flip the second and multiply, would be 2/3 divided by 1/2. You are simply going to take the second fraction, 1/2, you're going to flip it upside down and make it 2/1, and then you're going to change your multiplication sign, or your division sign, into a multiplication sign. So if you follow the arrows, division sign becomes multiplication. The reciprocal of 1/2 would be 2/1, which is flipping the fraction. Once a division problem is flipped, you are simply multiplying fractions and following all those rules like cross-reducing and so on. I demand that you rewrite all fractions that are division and they become multiplication. So when you have 3/4 divided by 2/3, you follow your saying when dividing fractions, flip the second and multiply. 3/4 divided by 2/3 becomes 3/4 times 3/2. There is nothing to cross reduce, so you simply multiply. You have an improper fraction as your answer. You convert it to a mixed number, 1 1/8. Simply stated, it would be easy to just remember this. We never divide fractions. We always flip fractions, flip the second fraction, and multiply when they're division problems. Really, really good idea when you have a whole number and you're dividing fractions or even multiplying fractions. Make that whole number over 1, so you have both a numerator and a denominator. Visually, it just looks better. So what I did with number 6 divided by 1/2, is I made it 6/1, which is 6, and rewrote it that way. So 6/1 divided by 1/2. Followed my saying when dividing fractions, flip the second and multiply. You've got 6/1 times 2/1, which equals 12/1, improper, answer 12. Number 7 just shows you an example of where you would cross-reduce after you flip the second fraction and multiply. Number 8 shows you that 6 divided by 2 is the same as 6/1 divided by 2/1. You can't divide fractions, so we flip the second and multiply and get 3. So just further proof of something that you already have memorized of why 6 divided by 2 is 3. Number 9, not much different here than anything else. You have mixed numbers, so you convert them to improper first. Then, after you get them converted to improper, you flip the second and multiply. So here we converted them to improper, and then we took 26/6 and we flipped it to get 6/26. Our division sign became a multiplication sign. We did some cross-reducing, as you can see, and got an answer of 28/39. Last problem, you're going to need to write this one down because it's not in your notes. So make sure you're using the pause button in doing so. Veronica wants to own a 2 1/4 foot snake. Joey wishes to own a 13.5 foot snake. How many of Veronica's snakes can fit inside of Joey's snakes? So you simply want to take 2 1/4, and you want to see how many times it goes into 13 1/2. So you got to think through this problem. It's a division problem. What is the number that would go inside the box, so to speak, and the number that would go outside of the box? We know that we want 2 1/4 to go into 13 1/2 a certain amount of times. So if we think of this problem, the 13 as in terms of a box, you would have 13 1/2 inside the box, 2 1/4 outside the box. However, we're not practicing solving fractions using this. So the number that goes inside the box, and we talk about this a lot, is always the first number when dividing fractions. So 13 1/2 divided by 2 1/4 really equals that. So how many times does 2 1/4 go into 13 1/2? Now we have ourselves a problem that we can work with using our format of solving solving fractions. So ding, 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 in your head you have an alarm going off. 13 1/2, 2 1/4 are mixed numbers. We need to convert them into impropers. So 13 1/2 becomes 27 halves. we're going to divide that by 9/4. Again, ding, 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 an alarm going off in your head. You can never divide fractions. It goes to your saying, when dividing fractions, my oh my, flip the second and multiply. So we're going to rewrite this as 27/2 times 4/9. Ding, 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 cross reduce. 2 and 4 have a common factor of 2, so this becomes a 2, this becomes a 1. 9 and 27 have a common factor of 9. This becomes a 1, this becomes a 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 6 over 1 is 6. Back to the question. How many of Veronica snakes, which are 2 1/4 feet long, or how many of Veronica's wishful snakes fit into Joey's snake that he owns? The answer is 6. 2 1/4 goes into 13 1/2 6 times. Hopefully that made sense. I know I'm talking really fast. Go back, rewatch. Your job is to get a cheat sheet idea in your notes for all of main idea number, can't remember the main idea, all of main idea number 3 for practice. So what is your cheat sheet idea? Get it in your notes and finish the assignment that I have laid out for you in in Schoology. So again, the assignment that I laid out for you is in Schoology. In your update, tells you everything you need to do, plus it's on the backboard. Good luck!